Have you seen the post that I shared about the new habit that I'm forming? Did you see that on Instagram?
I saw that you're working on a habit, but I don't know what habit it is. I have not gone into the weeds on your posts.
You know, as dietitians, we're never on the other side of habit formation. And I feel like whenever my life gets stale, I do something crazy. You know, I'm like, let's get short hair. Let's start a running club or I don't know, something crazy. So I was feeling like the itch to do that. But also, and I'm sure you can relate as a mom, I hate my kids waking me up. And my first like reaction to them when they come in and they're like, Mommy, good morning. And I'm like, good morning, you know, and I'm half alive. And I just was like, no, I want to start my mornings with intention. And I wasn't starting them with intention. So I downloaded an app called Blinkist. Have you heard of that?
No.
So I think it's called Blinkist. Hopefully it is. I'll correct it if not. But it's an app where it gives you summaries of books. So it will give you like a 15, 20-minute recap of what a book was. So it's like speed reading, which I love because number one, I'm really nerdy and there's not enough time to read all the books. And so I need recaps. But also I love it because then if I love the concept, then I want to read the whole book.
Okay. I'm you of all people, like you don't read enough. You feel like you're reading 24/7. You need speed reading too. But that makes sense. It's like a preview to the full book.
Yes. Yeah. And so anyway, on this, the very first book I listened to was called The 5 a.m. Club. Have you heard of that book?
Yes.
Yes. So it's really popular and I've never read it and I couldn't tell you who the author is now, but so the 5 a.m. Club, the premise is you start your day at 5 a.m., you do a 20-minute workout where you get sweaty, then you do a 20-minute reflection meditation, and then you do 20 minutes of learning. So it could be a podcast, an audiobook, a book, something like that. And I was like, you know what? Those are all of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Movement, meditation, you know, reading. And so I was like, that's really cool. And I think this is important because when we talk about habit change and behavior change, I know that at any point I could wake up at 5 a.m. But having a structure, having some plan, if you will, creates this space where I'm like, oh, okay, it's intentional. And now I'm going to start it tomorrow, right? So I started this and I have so many things to say. And I thought, well, how fun to share it on social media where I can talk about, you know, dietitians. We make behavior change pretty easy because this is what we do, but we have the same exact thoughts that you do. So when you're like, F this, I'm not getting up early, or my kids woke me up 4 times last night, or I started my period. I can't work out the day 1 of my period, you know, whatever it is, we're having those same thoughts, but we just counteract it with different thoughts. And I thought, how great to share that journey.
I love that. Yeah, you'll have to, I mean, is this your first week doing it?
It is, yeah. So I decided, and I haven't shared this will be one of the next posts. I think it's important too when people jump into habit change, they go gung-ho. They say, okay, right now I have no structure, but now today starting like for the rest of my life now, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to have this structure. And it makes you feel trapped. For me, the second I say I'm waking up 5 a.m. every day, no exceptions. I'm like, nope, got to get out. I hate it already. So I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay, good. I was hoping you were going to say that because I do that with clients all the time. What's the lowest barrier to entry that you know that you can, like, I know I can get up at 5 a.m. at least once in the week. You know, that's the place to start. Again, as a dietitian, it's so important for people to realize that, like, we struggle with these things too. When I set goals for myself, like, I'm trying to make it as achievable as possible with a little bit of a challenge so that I can gain the momentum and get it into my routine consistently. But it's hard for everybody. We just happen to have some of those strategies already built into our toolkit that we're able to pull from. So I love that. I actually forgot I had a client that read that book and wanted to implement the 5 a.m. club like tenants, but at 7 a.m. because 5 a.m. was too early.
Yeah. Well, as a mom, 5 a.m. is all I got because my girls are up at 6 a.m. sharp. So I'm like, if I need time for myself, it has to be at 5 a.m. But I have so much to say. I have so much to say about it. I've already learned so much and there's so many curls of things that I want to talk about, but maybe we'll do a whole show on it after I've had some social media posts come out. But it got me thinking about habit change, and most of our clients are trying to build and form habits for weight loss.
Right.
And I don't know about your clients, but for my clients, probably 95% have weight loss as a goal, in addition to obviously healing their gut. And what is so important to understand is that if you have severe gut issues, it is going to be nearly impossible for you to lose weight. And I want to talk about that because I think there's so many angles here that is the reason why that is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk through some of those things because maybe you're listening to this and you know you want to heal your gut, but your motivation, you're like, I really want to do it, but it hasn't hit you yet how important it is. And maybe this will be the thing where you're like, no, I actually also want to lose weight because I don't like it when I pull on my pants and they're tight and it ruins my whole mindset. And I want to be able to run and I can't run in the current body that I have. And there's some belief things in there too. But, if that is a goal for you, this is the way through it. You can't go around the gut issues. You have to go through them.
Right.
So do you see that with clients? I mean, do you see that gut issues are really standing in their way?
Oh, yeah. And I think I look at it more from, it's typically something that I help clients realize once they're coming to me stuck. They're like, okay, I've done all the things typically they're going to have tried at least 1, 2, or many different approaches to try and force weight loss to happen. And then they end up coming to me and truly trying to figure out what's going on. And a lot of times in my assessment, we identify that the gut is an issue. And that usually shows up as either bloating, diarrhea, constipation. And I'm like, whoa, full stop. That's a red flag. We can't just ignore that your body's trying to tell us something about some underlying dysfunction. Food that we're eating to help support weight loss efforts is what's going in at the top. And if we are not keeping the whole thing in mind, then your metabolism, the nutrients that you're extracting from that food, your gut reactions that you're having that are making you choose different foods, there's so many different things that can stem from that process that make weight loss more challenging. So I usually pull it back to if there's any kind of dysfunction and more obvious red flags with diarrhea, constipation, bloating, food reactions, we got to start there and then work our way backwards. And usually weight loss happens as a side effect of that for a lot of my clients, at least.
And that's exactly what I tell my clients too, that have weight loss as a goal. I say I'm putting this goal in italics because we're not chasing weight loss here, but it is a happy side effect of a lot of our clients. When you can heal the gut, it fixes so many things. And think about the clients that come to us, their energy levels, they are non-existent. Can you imagine starting a workout routine or waking up at 5 a.m. like I'm trying to do? If you have no energy, there's no way. It's no wonder that you're going to throw in the towel after a couple days because it's making you feel worse. The way that I practice with clients and the way that I see this strategy is I have all these goals and all of these habits that I want you to establish. However, we're going to bring those habits in at the time when it is easiest for you.
Right.
So if you are not hungry in the morning because you have SIBO and your appetite is in the toilet, you're never hungry and you feel awful in the morning, your stomach hurts, you're already bloated, the last thing you want to do is eat breakfast. Okay, well, cool. I want you to add and incorporate breakfast, but if I ask you to do it at that point before we've healed the SIBO, you're going to be more miserable and it's going to be really hard to stick with it. So instead, we work on the underlying issue first. We make you more hungry. We give you those hunger cues back online. And then you actually want breakfast. So that habit then becomes you're not fighting against your body. You're actually just listening to your body and responding and saying, oh, you're hungry? Yes, let me give you food. Brittany wanted me to eat breakfast anyway.
One of my favorite things about working with clients on something like this is helping them recognize which layers to add in first. That can be such a hard component to really tackle in working with a professional and getting a gauge for, okay, well, this is why you keep struggling to add in breakfast because we've got this other issue that we really need to tackle first. And you tackle that and you get that out of the way. And then other things are more easily layered on top of it. Sometimes you just need that outside perspective to help figure out where to even get started. So I love that example because that's a common one that I see in one way, shape, or form. People skipping breakfast and then leading to issues later in the day that are going to make it harder for you to hit your weight loss goals or eat in the way that you want to in general.
I just this morning had 2 calls with potential clients, and both of them actually spoke to this. And I think, again, it's so common for clients with gut issues. They were saying how, they tried strategies on their own, which is what I want people to do. Before you come to us and invest in our services, I want you to try things on your own, because it might be a simple fix. It might be an easier fix. And then you just saved yourself a lot of money from working with us. They were saying the cleaner that I eat, the worse I feel. And I feel fine when I eat French fries. And I feel fine when I eat goldfish snack crackers. The foods that are more heavily processed are the only things they feel like they can tolerate. So again, if your goal is weight loss, if your goal, maybe it's not even about your weight, you just want better metabolic health. You want to decrease your blood sugar. You want to improve your cholesterol, your liver enzymes, whatever it is. You want more energy. You, again, have that diet of, okay, this is what I should be eating for weight loss, for cholesterol, but it's making your gut issues worse, which is going to make it, again, nearly impossible to stick to that diet plan, because okay, I'm eating this beautiful veggie omelet this morning, and I know that in 30 minutes, I'm going to be ballooned up. I won't be able to fit in my pants. I'll be in pain, or I'll have loose stools and I'm running to the bathroom. And how sustainable is that habit going to be? It's not. It's making you feel worse. And so again, you cannot skate around these gut issues because it's holding you back from the exact thing that you're trying to do. It's keeping you from eating the way that you want to eat. And I have clients say that too. My more natural way of eating is very plant heavy. It's very fiber heavy, but I haven't been able to eat that. And I've had to lean on foods that it isn't my natural way of eating, and I don't feel good when I eat them, but my gut is slightly more bearable when I do that. It's just a hard thing. What do you see as like the components of typical well-meaning weight loss advice or healthy eating advice that gets in the way of gut issues? What do you feel like is the big thing there that you see with clients?
One of the things that jumps out to me immediately is this huge emphasis on protein. I mean, protein everywhere, protein maxing, hundreds of grams of protein. That's probably the biggest thing that I see. And then just not being able to tolerate fibers and veggies outside of that. The reason why that becomes problematic for some of my clients, people with more significant gut issues, the reliance on a high protein diet when you already have gut issues in place, then we are feeding what can sometimes be an imbalanced gut environment. And then we're having bloating in response to the foods that we know that we're supposed to be eating for weight loss. We're supposed to be eating high protein. People are maxing out their protein intake, having this underlying gut issue that's being fed in the process. And then they fast forward and they're not able to tolerate any veggies and fruits. And we are forcing more protein into your system and having side effects from that and bloating and discomfort and abdominal pain and living in this forced low carb that's driving some underlying dysfunction. That's probably the most common thing that I see that's perpetuated. But what would you say?
Yeah, it's just so funny. There's 2 extremes, and I blame social media. You need to eat all protein. And then the other side is like, no, for metabolic health, you need fiber, right? And so both of them can, if you have gut issues, depending on the gut issue, if you have an overgrowth of a particular type of bacteria, a high protein diet is going to flare your symptoms and it's going to make you feel worse.
Right.
Long-term high protein diet's also not great for the microbiome. Now, the high fiber side, excellent for the gut long-term. However, you need to be able to tolerate it. Yeah. And if you can't tolerate the fiber, you are going to feel worse. So again, it's one of those things. Is fiber good for cholesterol, heart health in general, blood sugar, longevity, literally every condition under the sun? Yes, fiber is great. We have so much research on fiber. I always say if pharmaceutical companies could corner the market on fiber, they would make millions, because think of the claims they could make, Olivia. I mean, fiber outperforms so many medications we have, especially when you look at cholesterol.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things to add in. Absolutely. But To your point, because low carb has been such a theme, we've got this heavy focus on low carb, but this heavy focus on fiber. I see that show up also as a reliance on what are those keto foods that have like a ton of supplemental fiber. But then I'll talk to somebody and they're not getting any fruits, veggies, beans, legumes. We're living on this supplemental high fiber diet and also kind of missing different aspects of what would be a well-rounded, really colorful, nutrient-rich diet as well. So that's more metabolic, overall health focused. But I think it just speaks to the internet and our reductionist approach. It's like, if fiber's good, but carbs are bad, then I've got to lean in this way. And it just kind of creates this diet that's not really supporting you in your weight loss efforts, in supporting your gut health. It just lands you in a place where you're stuck and not getting closer to your goals, not feeling better. And that's where I kind of have to pull people back. I think some people are surprised by that, especially surprised by the need to like walk back on protein. That one really shakes people up, I will say.
It does. And there's a huge fear around it too when I have someone decrease their protein because of this idea that has been fed of like, if you're not eating 200 grams of protein, then your muscles are going to go away and then your metabolism is going to slow. Well, I would never recommend your protein is low enough that you would actually see muscle loss. We're not going to see muscle growth. That's not the goal. That's not what we're doing here right now. But what we are doing is getting your gut in a place where you can tolerate maybe going to moderate protein so that you can build muscle, which is supporting your metabolic goals, which is the whole point of this discussion. We're going to temporarily have a diet that is not supporting your other goals. It's not supporting maybe weight loss at this time. It's not even sometimes supporting the growth of the microbiome from a healthy standpoint, because there are clients where at the first session, I'm not telling them to go high fiber because it will make them feel worse. That is not the play. And I think sometimes clients are shocked when we finish up our first initial session and we didn't talk about diet. They're like, we didn't talk about food at all. Well, we are going to talk about food. It is going to be the bulk of what we talk about. But first, we have to get you tolerating it. Because right now, if we gave you a gut supportive diet, you will feel 10 times worse. And then, that's not the goal here. We have to fix the underlying reason why you're reacting to those high fiber foods. Why do you feel worse on a gut supportive diet? That's what we have to fix and get some momentum going so that you can bring in the foods that are supportive to heal the gut long term. So it's this really interesting thing of they think we missed something. It's like, no, that was totally intentional. You were doing it on purpose. And it goes back to what I said before. The habits that I want you to build, we bring them in at the right time when it's easy to build them. We wait until your energy is up. We wait until your metabolism is a bit more revved in terms of hunger cues. Your hunger cues are back online. You're able to tolerate an actual plate of food versus just a couple of bites. See it as we heal your gut. We optimize your diet. We optimize your lifestyle. So by the time you leave, not only did we heal your gut, we also saw changes in metabolic markers, which I see all the time with clients. Blood sugar came down, liver enzymes dropped, cholesterol improved, all of those things that show us, no, not only did we heal your gut, we made you metabolically healthier. And now they've established health habits that feel so sustainable because we didn't tell them, hey, follow this meal plan of Brittany's favorite breakfast and Olivia's favorite lunch, because that's not going to work. It's not sustainable. So taking what the client is already doing is what we specialize in. We say, you're doing this for breakfast. I love that that's working for you. Let's change it slightly to make it more supportive of gut health and more supportive of your weight loss goal. So let's bring this down a little bit. We're going to add in this. We're going to add this. And it still feels like the same breakfast. It's the same amount of effort, but those tiny changes make a massive impact in supporting their gut long term and supporting their metabolic health, but again, in a way that feels so sustainable that they felt like they didn't really change anything.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the beautiful things about, not like about our approach, but just I find this in a lot of like one-on-one dietitian encounters, so just being really supportive. Like I don't want to feel like I'm making recommendations that you can't either actually implement into your life because they are too strict, which is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. We want to work with what you're capable of handling as far as new habits go, but then also really supporting and reconnecting to what your body is telling you. I feel like so much of weight loss is like, I'm going to like force my body smaller. I'm going to force, myself to get through a day on like eating nothing because I'm trying to be in a calorie deficit. And the body, especially when it comes to weight loss, we never want to lose weight. Like the body isn't really designed to like freely let go of weight. It's counterintuitive for the body to just freely lose weight. So you really have to be in a more optimal environment, in a really safe environment to even allow weight loss to occur. And so I think paring it back and allowing people to reconnect with their hunger cues and to say, actually, how is this food sitting in my body? How does it taste? How does it like feel? How long am I able to go between breakfast and lunch? Really slowing it down and really working on the foundations to help make the body feel more safe. I think that's also something that a lot of people miss in efforts for weight loss because we are just trying so hard to force the body to do something that ultimately it doesn't want to do.
Yeah. And the safety thing is such a good point too, because from a gut perspective, if we have a huge overgrowth of something, you have SIBO, you have an overgrowth of Campylobacter, you have a methanogen overgrowth, whatever it is, when there is dysfunction in the gut, and then you pair it with something like leaky gut and greased gut permeability, you have inflammation that then is escaping the gut and it's going systemically throughout the body. It's entering your bloodstream and it's causing inflammation everywhere. Now, when your body is inflamed everywhere, it feels the opposite of safe. And so it is going to make it harder. The inflammation itself and then the safety thing, it does make it harder for your body to feel like, oh no, this is a good thing. This is great. And this is also why for a lot of our clients, specifically SIBO clients, their hunger cues go away and they feel completely stuffed after 2 bites of food. And I have been there and I can tell you, I remember sitting down at dinner, having literally 2 bites of food and feeling like I just stood up from the Thanksgiving dinner table. There were several days where I was probably eating 500 calories a day. And I'm small. I know you can't tell. I'm 5 foot. I'm just a small, I'm a compact person, right? So I don't need a ton of calories, but 500, way too low. And I never lost weight. In all of that time when I was not eating optimally, my weight did not go down. I felt very puffy. I wasn't fitting in my clothes. I was actually larger. Everything felt inflamed and puffy. And towards right before I started to see the turnaround in the protocol, I did actually start seeing the scale go up. And that is so opposing to that calories in, calories out, which I agree, it does come down to an equation. However, the inputs to the equation change. Your body downregulates the activity, so you're burning less calories to match the low amount of calories you're bringing in. There is so much more to that. And what is the most sad, I think, about these clients who were where I was, there are so many physicians and practitioners who say, you don't have SIBO, you haven't lost weight. Because when you look at the definition of SIBO, one of the hallmark symptoms is weight loss. And I have yet to find one, we were just talking about a client who kind of fits that bill, but
she might be the one.
She might be the one. That doesn't happen. Our SIBO clients are not losing weight. They are in fact gaining weight and they're feeling puffy and they're not fitting in their clothes from a bloating perspective. So it's this huge group of people that's being gaslit. You don't have that. You haven't lost weight. You're gaining weight. It's such a hard place to be. Gut issues already are so isolating for people. And then you add the person who's supposed to help you dismissing you even more. And it's just such a sad state of affairs. But again, to bring it all back, your body has to feel safe if you want to release weight. And if you have gut issues, your body is not feeling safe. So you can't go around it. You got to go through it.
Right. 2 things can be true at once. You can want to have and change your body and want to get into that smaller pair of clothes or the smaller jeans that you've, held on to. You can want to do that. But if we have been quietly ignoring the way that your body is feeling in regards to like the whole process of weight loss, we are having gut issues when we're eating and then we're having constipation or diarrhea. And if weight loss is not working, then we kind of have to shift our focus and say we need to kind of And it's almost liberating for some of my clients to kind of put weight loss on the back burner and look at something else and try and gain momentum by improving another aspect of our health. And then once we really feel like we're seeing the needle move in one way, shape, or form, oh my gosh, it's such a win to like have regular bowel movements. Like to your point, when you're talking about fitting into your clothes and feeling this like puffiness and bloating, if you are constipated, I'll have clients who are finally, for the first time in months or years, having regular bowel movements and see crazy improvements in their bloating and be able to fit into some of their jeans that they, haven't worn in forever. And the scale has barely moved, if at all. But that win can be so life-changing for some of the women that I've worked with, that shifting your focus to a whole other area of your body, if you haven't done that yet, can be really eye-opening and really motivating to tackle maybe some of the other goals, some of the other habits, if you will, that are going to be supportive of what you're trying to get towards in general. Like if you can finally have regular bowel movements and not feel as bloated, then maybe you'll be comfortable to put on your leggings and go to the gym. Maybe that's what we really need to accomplish. It can be helpful even from a mindset perspective to tackle some of these things from a different lens, a different viewpoint.
Again, bringing in that behavior when it's easier. So going to the gym, once you are not bloated anymore, it's so much easier to do. And I see it as it's a domino effect. We get our clients, we get them a win with bloating. We get them a win with stools. And then it is remarkable the amount of wins that just stack up once they feel good in their gut. Because like you mentioned, they're not bloated anymore. So they do put on their gym clothes and they feel more confident. They feel like they can move because their stomach isn't in the way. I can actually bend over and grab some heavy weights, or I can walk and feel like my back isn't hurting because of the pressure that's been put on it. And once you get to that, you almost see that spark come back in them. And they're like, and then I started walking and then I felt really good. So then I meal prepped and then I did this and then I didn't even need my Diet Coke, It's like, yes, but you have to, like, what is your point of entry? What is the lowest hanging fruit that's going to change everything and make all of those behaviors easier? That is the beauty of working with a practitioner, is we see what the actual root cause of everything is, and we can address that, which then makes everything easier in your health journey. And it's such a fun thing to watch, again, because we are not interested in just helping you poop better. Like, I actually don't care if you poop every day. Like, that's not what I care about. I care about your quality of life that improves so much when you are pooping every day. It's not about the poop. It was never about the poop. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. It's not about the poop, but it's about seeing them finally feel like they can live their lives again when their gut issues are gone. And it's such a beautiful thing. I remember the very first call we had and who I was sitting across from. And then you get to the last call and it is just a completely different person. And it is so rewarding because, again, I care about your quality of life. And if the way we need to improve that is through your stool, let's do it.
What's the blockade that's keeping you from living and enjoying life? And from our perspective, it's going to be making sure that there's no gut barriers in your way so that we are able to eat normally, go out and have fun with our friends and our family, and go to the gym and just live your life with a sense of lightness. That's sometimes going to be the jumping point that you need to make changes in other areas and layering in habits that feel easy to maintain.
I always try to leave people with something actionable. What does this mean? Okay, we've talked about all these things and now what? And it's really challenging. I don't really have super actionable steps because, again, there is no way around this. The only way is through it. And so if you have goals of optimal metabolic health, you have weight loss goals, you have all these things you want to do, but every time you get on a good place with that and you feel like you're trying to do your best with that, your gut issues flare, You don't just need to do it better, or you don't just need to do it harder. And I see clients do that too. Oh, I'm eating clean. Oh, I must not have been eating clean enough. I just need to eat cleaner, and then my gut issues will improve. Or they feel like they have to have these health habits nailed down before they turn their attention to their gut, when their gut was actually the thing holding them back the whole time, like we've discussed. So it's almost just shifting your focus to, what's the first thing I need to focus on? Certainly try and improve your diet. Absolutely. If you're listening to this and you have made no changes, try to clean up your diet and see what happens. And if things start to improve, cool, keep doing that. See what forward momentum you can have. Keep working on diet and movement and nervous system. But if you start to make changes and you're cleaning up your diet and it gets worse, that is the biggest red flag that you need to dig a little bit deeper with a practitioner for gut health purposes. We would love to help you if you're listening to this, or even if it's not us. There are so many different flavors of functional medicine. This is what I tell people. So many flavors of gut health practitioners. You owe it to yourself to look into, like, who do you listen to and you're like, yes,
right.
That's exactly how I think. That's exactly what I think. Find the practitioner that you feel like you really resonate with. That's who you work with. And if you are listening to this and you're like, yeah, Brittany, you're kind of cool, but I really don't agree with this. Cool. That's great. Go find a practitioner that does feel totally aligned with your approach. Because if you want a bunch of restriction and you want to do all these cleanses and fasts, I'm not your girl. And I'll straight up tell you in our clarity call, hey, listen, that's not what I'm bringing to the table. That's not how I operate. I just don't think that we're going to be the best fit for you. But I don't think you need to get too hung up on trying to figure out if we are the best fit, because we have a call before you're able to onboard with either myself or Olivia. We have a free 30-minute call with me where I see if we're a good fit. And so many times on those calls, I say, I don't think we're a good fit. Or there have been times where I tell people, I don't actually think this is a gut issue, because people quote, everything starts in the gut. Well, It's true that everything could start in the gut, but it's not true that everything is actually starting from the gut. And I think it's important to know the distinction so you're not barking up the wrong tree. And I try to set people straight there too. Or if I'm not sure if I can help, I say, I'm not sure if I can help. I don't exactly know what's going on, but I'll absolutely give it I will work hard for you and I will dig into things and I will do my darndest to try. But most of the time, 90% of the time I hop on those calls and I'm like, I can tell you right now what's wrong. I can tell you exactly how we would fix it. It's going to be about 4 months. I'm so sure, because these patterns show up in such a predictable way. And when you've been doing this as long as we have, we can see that from a mile away. We know exactly what it is. And it's nice to sit across from a practitioner who isn't dismissing you and actually says, I know exactly what's going on. And we do this every day. So if you've considered working with us, go ahead and apply. You fill out an application. I'll have it linked below. And then right after you apply, you'll set up a 30-minute, video call with me where we just talk through if you're a good fit, very low pressure. And then you get to decide if you want to move forward. We talk through that. Again, you can work with myself or Olivia. And we can get you feeling better from a gut health standpoint, which then opens the door for you to work on all of your metabolic weight loss goals, whatever that might be.
If you like this episode or if you have any questions, go ahead, leave a comment, reach out to us. We would love to chat more. Until then, see you next time.